Hello and welcome. My name is Jake and I lead Snapchat's business here in the UAE. When I speak to CEOs, brand owners and agency leaders, they all ask me the same question. What's next? What does the future of marketing look like? My answer is simple: augmented reality. Sometimes I'm met with a little skepticism, with brands thinking that I'm talking about a technology for a distant future. But for Snapchatters, it's not something in the future. It's their present, their now, their everyday. 200 million people engage with AR on Snapchat on a daily basis. 200 million people every day. That's not a distant future. That's mass adoption. And that's because AR isn't just something fun or a toy. It's functional, it adds value and provides utility to the daily lives of Snapchatters all across the globe. Now, leading brands are already using AR to share their values and introduce new products to customers wherever they are at scale with measurable results. Now, some of you in this virtual room might be leaning into AR and doing extraordinary things with it. My hope is that soon it's not just some of you, but it's all of you. Now, this is one of those precious few moments when customers are signaling that they love something, yet the marketing space around it is entirely wide open. Now, rather than just hearing from me, I brought some friends along. Today, you'll hear and understand the AR opportunity from other voices in the market. Firstly, we have Alan Cook. He's the MD at Deloitte Digital. Alan has led research to better understand the scale of the technology shift that is happening with AR globally. Spoiler alert, their conclusion is quite clear. You'll also hear from Vishal Badiani from Snapchat's creative strategy team, who will give you a sense of the unlimited capabilities of AR technology and its ability to impact core business transformation. Finally, Stan Brunei, head of marketing at Unass, and our very own Farima Moini, who heads our omni-channel retail business. They'll have a discussion covering what Stan has learned about AR, how Unass is using it, and he'll share his vision for the future. Now, with that said, let's get started.
Welcome to the Snap Consumer AR Report. My name is Alan Cook and I work with Deloitte Digital. I've been at Deloitte and as Managing Director for over 7 years and worked with Snap earlier this year to pull together the following report. The agenda will cover a general overview of the report, followed by some of the significant shifts we're seeing in the technology around augmented reality, or AR, and how we've seen this shift evolve. The next section, section 3, will look at how augmented reality is going through the classic evolution that most technologies go through, from tech to toy to tool to totality. Section 4 will do a deep dive on brands and retail, the so what, if you like, of why we did the augmented reality report, and what does this mean for major brands and retail. And the final section will look at the future, both the accelerators which are encouraging the adoption of augmented reality, and the challenges and hurdles we have yet to overcome. The Augmented Reality Report interviewed over 15,000 people worldwide, half of whom were Snapchatters and half of whom were not, as well as doing over 50 expert interviews of leaders in augmented reality, the retail space, and large companies with major brands. We were really looking to get a deep perspective as well as forecast on emerging AR trends, the impact on consumer experiences and behaviors, and how Snapchatters and non-Snapchatters are interacting with brands using augmented reality. There were over 2,000 participants from Saudi Arabia and the UAE as part of this study. These are 4 of the key takeaways we saw as part of this engagement. Well, firstly, AR adoption is tracking similar to how previous generations adopted the mobile phone. Almost all of Gen Z and the millennial population in Saudi Arabia will be frequent AR users over the next period of time. One of the other surprising revelations was that over 50% of Snapchatters in Saudi Arabia and across all generations use AR today to have fun. However, as we're going to talk about later, we'll see how that is now evolving from people having fun to wanting or using it as a toy to people actually starting to use it as a practical tool, with over 80% of people expecting this move to happen in their everyday lives. The final big key takeaway was that interacting with products that have AR experiences increases the conversion rate by over 90%. So definitely something to look into for any brand focusing on driving business results. We'll already seeing a huge use of AR today, with over 4.5 billion photos or videos taken by consumers daily on the Snapchat platform globally. There are over 500 million minutes of augmented reality playtime per day on average today on Snapchat. We're expecting a 40% CAGR growth each year between now and 2025 as this platform continues to expand across all aspects of augmented reality. This is further demonstrated by the number of frequent AR users we're expecting to see growing this year, from about 7.8 million to nearly 20 million by 2025 in Saudi Arabia. And this is the stated usage, meaning asking people if they use AR. However, what we have seen when running the survey is that people don't always know that they are using AR, which leads to a self-stated usage that could be lower than the actual usage. Snapchat's internal data shows higher usage today. So where in the world is AR being used today? You have an answer in this graphic. Even the lowest of the countries have nearly 2/3 of folks saying AR will be important in the next 5 years. However, if we look at Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, they are amongst the most convinced users, being both in the top 5, having over 80% of their population saying it will be important in the next 5 years, and being the markets where AR usage is amongst the highest. Let's now understand the technology shift pattern that AR is following. Every 10 to 15 years, we see a huge shift in technologies. The first of these was the shift to PC. This allowed us to suddenly have our own data and our own computer technology in our home. We then saw the shift to the web. This now allowed us to not only have our own data and information, but to be able to connect to the web and access everybody's data. We then saw the shift to mobile. And this now meant that we weren't just able to use our technology in the home, we were able to use it everywhere. At each one of these phases, we have seen that it becomes easier for us to be able to access our data, and the interface that we use to connect with our technology becomes simpler and easier and more intuitive. Augmented reality is just that next greatest shift. At each one of these significant shifts, some companies have been created and have reaped huge benefits. At the same time, large global firms who did not make the change and were not able to embrace the new technologies have failed and died. This is part of the reason why every single major Silicon Valley technology company is investing today in augmented reality. We're seeing that augmented reality is following mobile technology adoption curve. We are roughly today where mobile technology was in 2004. And as you can see, the growth that happened between 2004 and 2010 was huge for mobile technology. We believe, and the information that we are seeing is showing, that augmented reality is tracking this adoption rate. One useful way to think about how technology will be adopted is to think about how old technologies go through the following 4 phases. First of all, they are a tech, they become a toy, then a tool, and then reach totality. So what do we mean by each one of these stages? Tech is really just the technology phase, where consumers and developers try out new technologies such as a new communication platform to create and connect with the world. Really, what we're doing at this point is discovering and testing new capabilities. For instance, using a lens to give yourself puppy ears, or putting your face on a dancing rabbit. As we evolve from this tech stage, it becomes a toy, the feature phase. This is when you get to play and have fun. For instance, you may test out how a hair color works on yourself, or play games where you'll be capturing 3D monsters in the real world. The next stage of the evolution is it becomes a tool. This is the impactful phase, and we get to engage with useful features like AR directions on how to get home. We start to understand the benefits or utility of AR experiences. And as this understanding grows, so do the practical applications and how they might be used. For instance, during this phase, you might try out how a brand's lipstick looks, or how a TV would look and fit on your wall or a piece of furniture. The final phase is totality. And this is when it just becomes business as usual, the new normal, so to speak. This is when AR has full power as developers make more content available to us in our everyday life. What we start to get here is interaction with frictionless applications and experiences. It becomes ubiquitous across platforms and across brands. So why do people use AR? A lot of it is just through osmosis. we found nearly 2/3 of the people are using AR for communication today. And while nearly 3/4 of the people couldn't necessarily describe what AR was, they successfully identified it when they saw it. Associated with the toy phase is just having fun, having joy, enjoying playing with AR. A significant amount of time and effort is being spent on this at this phase at the moment. What we were able to find is that nearly 2/3 of consumers use AR today to have fun and just enjoy themselves. However, we're seeing the move today from this kind of fun phase into the tool phase, where consumers start seeing AR as utility and lay the groundwork for ubiquity. Over 3 in 4 people already recognize AR as being useful to them. So what does this mean for brands and retail? This is the so what for you. That's a lot of people using AR to make purchase decisions already today. We believe that there's over 100 million consumers globally who are shopping with AR online and in the stores right now. From our survey, we also found that 96% of Snapchatters in Saudi Arabia agreed that they're going to be using AR more when shopping this time next year. So why are they doing it? AR can catch people's attention. AR delivers twice the level of visual attention compared to non-AR equivalents. This helps to lead to improved memories, improved experiences, and a more powerful response from consumers when looking and purchasing a brand. What we found is that roughly 1/3 of consumers are more likely to consider a brand if it has an AR experience in Saudi Arabia. Snapchatters are 20% more likely than non-Snapchatters to feel that AR gave them a reason to share a photo or a video today. Well, augmented reality also helps to build consumer confidence. We found that roughly 2/3 of Snapchatters agree that AR gives them a higher confidence about the product and the quality of the product. And over half of the people want to use AR technology to allow a risk-free try before you buy experience. We're going to be talking in a couple of pages about some of the try-on and try-out experiences. Also, nearly 3 out of 4 consumers say they're willing to pay more for a product that promises total transparency. AR is one of the means for us to be able to do this. I know what your main question is. What about the results for brands? What we found out was that when people interact with products that have an AR experience, their conversion rate is 94% higher. This is most probably because the individual could better assess the products and found a better connection with the brands. So if we dive a little bit deeper, for the Saudi Arabia marketplace, we're able to see that Snapchatters were using AR for things like communications, gaming, and media, with over 3/4 of those questions using it for these purposes. But also, over half of them are using it for shopping. Nearly half of the people wanted to be more creative, as well as half of them to make gameplay more interactive, or to be able to just watch content that they enjoyed. 2 out of 5 actually wanted to use it for trying out products. So we can see on this page that in Saudi Arabia, there is a significant number of Snapchatters who are using AR today for all kinds of purchases and interaction with brands and their products. Following on from this, we can see that a typical Snapchat shopper would have roughly half of them using AR to discover as part of their browsing or shopping. And 90% of shoppers were likely to use AR when they came across it. And 2 in 5 use AR to help make a decision on what to buy. So what does the future hold? What are the things which are going to accelerate the adoption of AR, and what are going to be the challenges or hurdles ahead of us? When it comes to accelerating the adoption of AR, we have 4 broad classes. Consumers are becoming creators. What we're finding out is, particularly on the Snap platform, it's easier to create AR experiences and people are having fun with them. They're turning these toys into tools, and they're actually finding utility amongst them and sharing them with their friends, colleagues, and peers. It's becoming a big driver for adoption. This desire to increase utility continues to be there. We're moving from being a toy to a tool. And as more people find usefulness or utility in that tool, the adoption rate will keep going. We also found that COVID-19 really did increase the adoption and use of AR. During our interviews in particular, we found that high-end brands really started to see significant growth in using AR and the benefits found. We also found that some of the big retailers we talked to are creating their own dedicated AR teams within their marketing groups. AR to them is now considered that important. And finally, keeping things fun. People are still enjoying AR. It has always been so satisfying when you see someone using AR for the first time because they really truly do experience joy. So what is slowing down the adoption of AR? There still is a lack of content. Platforms like Snap are doing well, but many other platforms have yet to totally embrace it. We're still having challenges getting standards of engagement with developers and creating communities of creators as well. And then the final barrier is just this desire and need for frictionless experiences. Everybody wants it easy. Some platforms are helping to make that happen, but on others, the experience is still challenging. And with that, I wanted to say thank you and look forward to interacting with you again in the future. I now pass it on to Vishal Badiani from the Snapchat team to help you get a better understanding of the possibilities of AR.
Hi, I'm Vishal, and I lead the creative strategy team here at Snap MENA. My team and I work with brands to develop campaigns on Snapchat, which are just as effective as they are creative and innovative. Campaigns which maximize reach and impact, whilst also meeting hard business and marketing goals and KPIs. At its core, Snapchat is a camera company, and we believe the camera is no longer simply a piece of hardware that captures moments. It's evolved, and today it's actually become a powerful piece of software which people are using to unlock interactive and immersive digital experiences. Experiences which augment the world around them, which are not only entertaining and shareable, but which grab attention, offer real value, and are remembered. This is more than a hypothesis or theory. By simply looking at how much people use our camera and our AR lenses, we know this is a shift happening right now in how people want to communicate, how they want to learn, and how they want to shop. In MENA alone, Snapchat's community has grown year on year to a monthly addressable reach of 75 million users, including 19.5 million in Saudi Arabia alone. As you'll know, the real battleground for marketers today isn't reach. There are more screens and opportunities to serve impressions than there ever has been before. The real battleground today is for consumer attention. And this is where Snapchat's AR experiences are in a league of their own. It has already become a daily habit, with over 85% interacting with lenses every single day in MENA. Even more compelling, beyond the sheer scale of this audience, is that this very same audience will choose to open the Snapchat Lens Gallery and engage with augmented reality lens experiences on average 30 times every single day. I just kind of want that to sink in for a second. If we assume people are awake for 16 hours of the day, that's nearly twice every waking hour. We've become the camera of choice for audiences across MENA, young and old. And that's because the first thing you see when you open Snapchat is the camera. While seemingly trivial, this makes a huge difference versus apps that open on a feed. Our audience opens Snap in an active mindset. They're ready to take snaps and videos. They're ready to create. And over time, they've become experts on how to use AR, even if they may not call it that themselves. Just like Lego comes without instructions, you never forget how to build Lego. The same goes for our AR lenses. Initially, sure, it may have been a toy or novelty, mainly used for entertainment and self-expression, and sure it still is. But now, as the tech has developed, as we've continued to invest, this toy has now become a priceless tool for discovery and consideration, a tool which only our community is expert in using. This audience and their know-how is our moat, coupled with the fact that we have been developing and investing in this technology for years now. This ensures when it comes to AR, we will remain way ahead of other platforms. In this new phase, we see people are ready to use the Snap camera to search and discover the world around them. We've brought the scan button front and center, placing it right in the main camera screen of Snapchat, making it simple to find relevant lenses and even information. By simply pointing your camera at a dog, it can tell you the breed. The same goes for plants, trees, songs, and even products. And we're just getting started. We're adding more and more new categories of intelligence to scan, from fashion to food. Screenshop is super exciting. It gives shopping recommendations in a completely new, yet inherently intuitive way. By simply pointing your camera at your friend's outfit or kicks, the camera can provide shopping recommendations from hundreds of brands. It's like having a personal shopper right in your camera. In the same vein, all recipes will recommend recipes based on ingredients seen through your Snap camera. So if you have a ripe avocado, just scan it, and you'll see suggestions appear for the perfect guacamole recipe. This isn't just about marketing or advertising. The camera is evolving the way we live our lives. This massive shift in how people behave represents a massive opportunity for brands that want to put customers first, and a massive risk for those who choose to ignore it. Smarter advertisers are realizing and already building out their camera strategy with us. Brands you'll know, like Louis Vuitton, Dior, Target, Nike, Samsung, STC, to name just a few. They've recognized the camera can be a powerful creative tool that can help give brands an edge over their competitors by helping them reshape how they connect, engage, and storytell. A tool that can make the difference in a purchase journey that's never been more fluid and unpredictable. So as a marketeer, how can you leverage this tech to supercharge the impact and effectiveness of your campaigns? Our camera is smart enough to recognize and identify the difference between the sky, the ground, and the buildings on a skyline. And we've worked with clients who want to use the camera as a canvas for further amplifying their brand or key message. This is a simple and really clever way to own the biggest and most accessible out-of-home placement that exists, whilst adding a very strong element of interactivity. Whether it's an exhibition, sponsorship, launch event, or even an expo, often a lot of time, money, and effort goes into crafting physical experiences. But the reach of these experiences is necessarily limited. And also, people are starting to expect more and more. With landmarker technology, the Snap camera can now enhance physical experiences, making these experiences not only more memorable, but going even further and making them truly magical. And as such, all the more talk-worthy and share-worthy. These kind of experiences can also be scaled, so you can take some of the magic of the physical experience and amplify the experience to millions of people who may not be able to attend, going well beyond relatively flat images or video and into augmented experiences that genuinely surprise and delight. The biggest innovations have come in the space of AR shopping, as the value of AR during the discovery and consideration phases of the purchase cycle can't be underestimated. We've launched cutting-edge trial experiences, which track people's wrists and feet for shoe, watch, and jewelry try-ons, through to product benefit demonstrations so people can actually see what a product does before they decide to buy. The most immersive experience we have, and the best example of the huge capability and quality of Snapchat AR, is in reimagining retail. This has become very popular, as you can imagine, over the last year. But more and more, we're seeing advertisers understand how these kind of experiences can deliver really memorable branding and shopping experiences at the same time. The last tech innovation I want to talk about today is 3D body tracking. You all know how popular casual mobile gaming is across the region. And we've already developed a number of AR games for clients across MENA. But now we can develop games which also track people's movement, which opens up yet further creative and commerce opportunities. The camera is a canvas of unprecedented potential and utility for businesses. And moreover, your customers are already starting to expect it. Regardless of which vertical you operate in, this is the next wave of disruption, and you won't be able to ignore it for much longer. That's why we believe every brand needs a camera strategy. The scale of adoption proves there's an audience ready and waiting. They want interactive and immersive experiences. They want advertising to add value. A key anchor point for this strategy is Snapchat's all-new public profile for businesses. It gives all brands a home on Snapchat so people can find their favorite AR experiences and content even if there isn't paid media behind it. Think of it as a space that could become your augmented reality storefront or virtual visitor center, where people can come and go as they please, understand your vision, try on your products or buy, without ever having to even leave their chair. Last but not least, We've had to invest a lot of time, effort, and money to bring AR to market. However, we've tried just as hard to make it accessible and approachable. Through Lens creators, creative partners, and even a new marketplace, through Lens Studio and Lens Web Builder, everything I've shown you is not just crafting that can be achieved with millions of dollars and the finest creative directors. It's actually an easy-to-build technology that anyone with a design background and a curious mind can make. It's never been easier or quicker. And this accessibility and cost effectiveness has also meant we've seen lenses continue to deliver really impressive ROAS. Our full business website is full of success stories that we're more than happy to share with you. Technology, cost, and time frames are no longer barriers, and the format is versatile enough to tackle every kind of business and marketing objective, right from the top of the funnel down to the very bottom. So I urge you all to stop thinking about why you should do AR, but instead start figuring out how. Now, over to Farima, who heads up our retail and travel verticals. She'll be discussing with Stanislas Brunet, head of marketing at Unass, what he's learned about AR, how Unass is using it, and how he sees it shaping the future of shopping.
Hello everyone, welcome to our fireside chat today. My name is Farima and I lead our retail industry here at Snap MENA. Today I have Stan Brunet with me to discuss all about AR. Thank you so much for joining us today, Stan.
Hi Farima, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so glad to discuss about one of my favorite topics these days, augmented reality.
Amazing. Well, we learned incredible data from my colleagues earlier, and I would love to go deeper into understanding everything from one of our partners' perspective. Unass has been a leading luxury platform in the Middle East. And I remember 3 years ago, we brainstormed together how to take the brand and introduce the brand to Saudi Arabia, the market, and our community in that market. And we came up with these amazing ideas and started with augmented reality, which practically never stopped. And now you have adopted always-on strategy for augmented reality. I really wanted to understand, what was that thought process like? Did you have to introduce augmented reality internally or convince any stakeholders? And how are you convinced to take such a new, disruptive innovation on board?
That thought process was like any thought process we have at Unass, pretty much based on data first. So with all of the data points and insights that you brought to us at that time, with A, the massive reach of Snapchat in the region, and B, the massive engagement and usage that the users have on their camera with the lenses and augmented reality. And then another point was innovation. So we were used to cover pretty much always on every single marketing channel that you can think about, but augmented reality was not used by us back at that time. And you introduced to us that new, let's say, advertising format as augmented reality. And as a pure player and online business, we tend to thrive and go for innovation and always test as much as possible and be one of the first beta testers in the region. So the thought process was more or less around that. So huge insights and huge potential reach with that new format and innovation. And secondly, it was not that much of a, let's say, difficulty, but the challenge was more normal and usual marketing strategies, which are either display or video-led creatives into augmented reality. So the main challenge, but that was overcome a lot by your support, is how to turn that kind of Ramadan campaign video strategy into augmented reality. And you supported us on that front a lot, and we managed to turn it around in a few days. So that's the main challenge we managed to overcome, obviously, together.
Amazing. So glad that you took these challenges and made it all happen. And today you're probably one of the biggest adopters we have on AR. What are some of those key learnings that you'd like to share with our audiences today?
The key learnings we've made around augmented reality is the multiple business and marketing objectives augmented reality can fulfill. It's not only, and most of the people would think it's an awareness, let's say, format, but it's not only an awareness format. it can go from awareness to actually pure conversion and even like return on investment performance format. So for example, the campaign we mentioned about Ramadan, we've done like more than 2 years ago now. We managed to have huge awareness, let's say uplift with a 7% uplift of brand awareness thanks to that augmented reality format. So that's one objective in can fulfill. Second objective we fulfilled at the same time was engagement. Engagement measured via shareability and playtime, because our audience played with the augmented reality experience up to 1 minute, which is absolutely amazing. And they share that experience up to 5% to their friends. And ultimately, sales and return on investment. So we managed to get a return on investment of 8.5x during that marketing campaign with that augmented reality. So yeah, again, what we managed to learn, it's highly engaging, and it's one of, like, I would say, the highest format I have like noticed when it comes to engagement, with up to 1 minute of uninterrupted playtime and engagement with our brand, and see ultimately performance and return on investment.
Do you think that, when within the community, Snapchatters are obviously a very close network of friends, and when they share an experience with each other, do you think that really influences each other's decision making when it comes to purchases?
We are 200% sure it does influence. And when you, apply it to yourself, and I apply it to myself. If you see an ad, but no one has told you about that brand, you might like discover and browse basically the product you've just been seeing. But if not only you've seen an ad, but a friend is recommending you something about a brand or product, then ultimately you are way more influenced and inclined into discovering and ultimately buying that product or service, or discovering that brand. And we did also notice that when it's actually recommended and shared by friends, it does have a massive impact on the purchase intent and on the purchase decision.
Amazing. And on that front as well, we've seen actually that AR experiences increases purchasing decision by 94%. And one of the factors for that is the try-ons factor. So the feel of the product, the connecting with that sort of brand experiences increases their purchasing decision. You've done an incredible job with the creative for Unass, makeup try-on or skincare try-on or jewelry try-on. What are some of those experiences that you learn? Are they realistic? Do you feel like the customer really feels like they're connecting with the product?
Yeah, and again, it can be like validated by two data points. A, the engagement. So again, like on average, we do see engagement, so playtime with augmented reality of about like 30 seconds up to 1 minute, which is amazing. And that does show the intent. That engagement does validate the, let's say, assumption that people are really intending on trying the products. That's A. And B, we do validate with our own on-site metrics, with the time they spend basically on each product, and also like the sales they make out of it. And we've noticed like sometimes spent on our products coming from the AR, which is actually higher than any other marketing channel. And also the conversion rate has actually been uplifted by up to 50% on these products whenever they've been tried on virtually on augmented reality.
Absolutely. I remember the virtual store experiences that you created for Unass on Snap as well. Such an incredible experience. It really felt like I was walking into a physical store of an e-commerce player, which is really amazing. And you could see all the brand experiences, the clothing, the brands, everything was very well crafted and well done. Adoption of AR has been slower than what we expected to be. It's been around for a few years, and I still feel like marketers are a bit slow when it comes to adopting AR. It takes me back to the time when marketers had to adopt mobile marketing, and we were telling them that mobile is the future. It feels a little bit the same. What are your advice for those marketers that are still hesitant, and what do you think is the cause of this slow adoption?
It's funny that you mentioned mobile is the future, because mobile is the present, but I would actually extend that sentence to augmented reality. Augmented reality is no longer the future, it's the present as well. And it's basically the audience and users' expectations, because they already spend so much time on their camera on Snapchat that you need to be present right now to be able to build your learning starting from today. So my advice is don't overcomplicate it and don't fear it. Like you can obviously like refer to the amazing Snapchat team, but test with simple execution and start small with ideas. It can get over complex if you basically overthink about it, but think about simple ways of marketing message or marketing campaign into augmented reality just by either greeting, basically giving your audience some kind of message or greetings message while using augmented reality and no longer traditional, let's say, boring display creatives or emails. So think about how you can translate a simple execution into augmented reality. And the rest, you can obviously be supported by the amazing Snap team.
Absolutely. And as you said, that's a very good advice. Now with different buying models for augmented reality and the variety of partners that could provide, creative support that we have, it's very much democratized for all sorts of advertisers from small to large. And you can always start small. Absolutely. Start with a smaller budget, run on audience targeting or reaching frequency and test and scale from there. Very good advice, Stan. Well, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. And I always learn a lot from you and your perspective and how you run such a successful business in this region. So I just wanted to thank you very much and leave you with any last notes or any takeaways that you have for our audiences today before we close this off.
As usual, thank you very much for having me. A last piece of advice, so beyond like saying start small and test it, do not test it, try to apply augmented reality as an always-on format in any marketing campaign that you do, because the audience is there, they spend time, and their expectation is for any brand to be also present on augmented reality all the time at any moment.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Stan. And it was a pleasure having you as part of this chat. And thank you to our audiences for attending this session and listening to our chat. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you for joining us. Now looking to the future. Every brand will need a camera strategy because AR is going to transform the business world. It's already happening, but it's going to accelerate in the coming months and years. If you consider that 5 billion pictures and videos are created with our camera every day, well, that's a behavior that's just waiting for immersive marketing that drives business impact. Understanding the power of AR will create the breakthrough marketers of the future. So be one of them.